The emulation
What? No. Hold on. Run that back real quick.
The emulation are seething. Unbelievable.
You know what's really unbelievable? The fact that this guy just made a slur for people who play video games. Emulation is illegal? Oh. Anyway, then what's this, nerd? Oh, shit. So there I was sorting some files out, realized that my army of 2 pathing didn't match up to my Steam launch things, and I realized how much I could really get in depth with the graphical settings. Tweaked it a little bit and decided, you know what, let's load up some Plants vs. Zombies. I've been into that a little bit here. Then I realized I gotta get some things sorted for my Switch emulators, so that way when I dump the files of the cartridges that I have over, I don't have any issues. I do want to make backups of those just in case the cartridges fail, which eventually they will. And at this point, I think I'm just making backups just to have the backups. I'm not really super interested in a lot of modern Xbox or Nintendo games. I play mostly just Kovacs. Take a look at my Steam profile and I look like a psychopath. Then I was reminded by one man I made a video a long time ago about. You probably haven't seen it. If you have, you're a real f***ing G. Harman Smith. Now, Harman Smith first grabbed my attention and I decided to tune in to give him the benefit of the doubt and see what he was really about rather than just like a cherry-picked video when he was discussing Elden Ring and saying that Elden Ring directly rips off, is worse than in every way, shape, and form, and just completely unplayable compared to Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. Now, if you've touched at least one of these games and then looked at gameplay of the other, you would think to yourself, well, I don't really need to play both to understand the differences. It's pretty blatant. And if you have been fortunate enough, you would come to the same conclusion as these aren't the same. These aren't really comparable. Is he just one of those people that plays his Souls-like, gets his ass beat, and says the game is bad? Yep. Yeah, he is.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty bored. Fast-paced attack. Patches? Okay, this is proof that this is not a new IP. If Patches is in the fucking game. Yeah, I don't feel sorry for fucking Patches.
It wasn't the only video, you know, I had one or two others, and then I wanted to make one on that PS5 sucks review, and it was just him ranting about women having rights. If you're confused on why I'm calling him a Nintendo fanboy, just take a look at his fucking YouTube channel, dude. Oh my god. I've been talking for about like 3 minutes now, and you're probably thinking, like, what did this guy do? What did he could have possibly done today to make this video even happen? This guy seems ridiculous. You cover way bigger things than this. This makes no sense. Well, recently he decided he was going to start combining the N-word with the word emulation to describe people who emulate their games, like I'm doing right here. He's one of those people who use generative AI for pretty much anything. As far as I can see for his thumbnails, it's pretty blatant, as well as the books he claims to be an author for. You know, I don't really know how much I believe that, considering just from the subsects that I've read before, it doesn't seem like an actual person is writing these. It seems like a lot of this is generated by AI, or at least the general setup. Before you hit me with, well, have you ever written anything? No. Because I don't want to. I can also not want to be a truck driver and analyze that truck drivers probably shouldn't be wearing sunglasses at night while driving a fucking semi-truck. I can also tell you without a shadow of a doubt, emulation is not illegal. Piracy would be illegal. There's some people that would argue that, well, if you can't own it and you can't currently buy it from the actual IP holder themselves, then what's the harm? You know, and I understand where they're coming from completely, and I'm not here to teach you how to pirate things. That would be ridiculous. Now, if you want to do that, that's none of my business. I don't really think pirating current games is super ethical, and you should be pirating things that are currently available that for your own purchase. And I will tell you a quote that I have always believed in from the moment I heard it. Piracy is almost always a servicing problem, not a pricing problem. And that can never be more apparent than when we went through the stages of pirating music back in the early 2000s to now. Anyway, enough about that. What's up with this title?
Of Switch 1 emulators, You know, you have guys on Twitter trying to tell you that, like, well, Nintendo's only gonna win because of their money.
Correct, that's why the legal standard of bullying someone financially has been a problem that the US government has had to discuss multiple times.
Like, yeah, that's the entire point, is that they're a business that's providing a service that Emulation is desperately trying to undermine.
And why would that be?
There's nothing new about this. There's nothing unusual about this. What is happening is that Nintendo is cracking down on Switch One emulation.
Again, why would that be? Could it be hurting their bottom line because you don't actually need the hardware?
Near constantly. Okay, and what we're seeing is just like the entire emulation niche just kind of seething about it. Because we're on the Switch 2 generation now. And there is no getting around it.
The emulation community is seething because we're on the Switch 2 generation. Okay, but what does it have to do with 10-year-old hardware?
First of all, there is no Switch 2 emulation. So we're not even talking about that at this point.
This is because you can't actually get the physical copy of the game despite buying the cartridge? Duh. What the fuck was the point of incorporating this?
The issue, though, is that Switch 1 emulation for a console that is almost a decade old,
Which is why it's happening.
is still not where it needs to be.
So let me get this shit straight. We established it's an ongoing battle legally between the emulation creators and Nintendo, and how there's constant takedowns and new emulators put up, but it's still not where it needs to be. By your logic, that's because Nintendo keeps intervening.
The entire narrative that emulation would be a preferable alternative to buying actual Nintendo hardware has completely fallen apart. Like, if you can't get a hold of an emulator 10 years after the fact, when Switch 1 has most of its major games released already, if Nintendo is still filing lawsuits, if emulators are still getting cracked down on, if all this stuff is happening, what exactly does emulation serve? Like, what purpose does it serve?
I could tell you it would be not having to waste money on other hardware, and you just explained why you are having difficulties in getting the... what the fuck? You just explained your own question.
Obvious answer is that emulation is no alternative to traditional gaming hardware. The entire cope about emulation used to be that it was easier to just download a ROM and an emulator online to play older Nintendo games.
I'm going to save you the trouble now. I'm going to link the video so you can actually watch it in depth. This little answer that he gives is just that it's not comparable to actual gaming hardware, but it's a computer in there. I don't know if Nintendo didn't design this shit in a lab with fucking crystals and wizard magic, dog. I don't know how to tell you this. You can emulate it because it's a computer. And then he just makes the claim and doesn't elaborate. Like, that's the purpose of me linking the video. You can just see he does not elaborate whatsoever. Just kind of states it, iDub style, and just like, you know, it is what it is, guys. If you disagree with me, fuck you. No, I think these two would be best buddies. iDubbbz and Harman would get along just fine. Borderline racism, actually, you know, Harman might be a little bit more blatant, but, you know, I think they get along for the most part.
Black people can't marry white people.
Hey now.
It's Garnet from Steven Universe.
Kids, don't be racist.
Cut.
iDubbbz racism is trademarked by the John Hawk Corporation. It is only applicable when you like America. For more information, reach out to 1-800-iDubbbz is not racist towards the Iranian men. Messages and data rates may apply.
How ridiculous that is. You know, emulation is doing everything they can possibly do to deny reality. Try and act as if this is some, like, viable alternative to Nintendo. Even 10 years later, what we're seeing is a massive downfall of that ideology. Why? Because older games are getting remade. High-quality remakes. You know, you're seeing games getting re-released, you know, through the Nintendo Classic Service. You're seeing new games come out.
Problem is, people aren't satisfied with those. They think it's fucking stupid. So... You wanna run that last part back? Would you call me?
Emulation, the emulation,
Bro, stop fucking saying it. Like, what the fuck?
what happens? You know, Nintendo releases a better version on Switch 2 that looks and runs better. You know, it's even if you emulate Tears of the Kingdom, it's not going to be as good as the Nintendo. And I think that's something that, like, a lot of these people are really going to struggle with.
About like the whole ordeal, like working on your show.
Probably working with all those filthy
We just want to sit back and listen to some great music. So stay tuned for more.
I think I have up to about volume 29 or 30, but the problem